Hey everybody, I hope you're doing okay. I'm Dan.
I'm Olga.
And today, in honor of Thanksgiving being this week, we are going to do our TV moments from 2018 that we're most thankful for. So basically we're going to start off, we came up with our own list. We're going to start off with things that are less spoilery, then we'll give you warnings before each show we talk about that has a spoilery thing. I'll have time code in the description if you want to skip over a specific show. And we're going to try to be somewhat vague about
even with spoilers, I think I'm going to try and be just broad about it. So maybe take a risk.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to start off?
No, I want you to start.
Oh, okay. Me. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was Everything Sucks, which I am not thankful for it being canceled, but I am thankful specifically for how it let the main character of Luke sort of be the bad guy. You start off and he's very likable, but I feel like they did something very different with coming of age stories and teen shows and stuff by having him. So the whole this isn't a spoiler. The basic premise of the show is he likes this girl, and we as the viewer before him find out that she might be homosexual. And so the whole thing is like, you know, it's the usual stereotype of like, oh, he falls for this girl, whatever. But it comes to the thing of like him not really being able to handle that she isn't going to like him back. And it has to deal with the fact that like sort of the nice guy principle, right? And having a show that's centered around that, both showing the issues with that, but ultimately showing that he's not a terrible person for having this nice guy thing. He's young, he has to learn, and it's sort of about him growing up and dealing with that.
And that is a very grown-up thing. Like, I remember my guy friends kind of dealing with the whole of when a girl doesn't like them back, like that whole thing, and then obviously maturing out of that. Yeah. And becoming more understanding adults / young adults.
And learning how to be an actual nice guy.
Right.
You know, like be a good friend to someone, not just say you're a good friend.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. I thought it was a really good story and something unique.
Are you grateful that girl still has a career courtesy of Grey's Anatomy?
Is she still on Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't realize. Okay. Well,
recurring character.
Good for her, I suppose. What's your first one?
So my first one that I'm going to say is that I am really thankful / grateful
for Grey's Anatomy.
Don't put words in my mouth. Just because I watch it doesn't mean I approve it. No, it's actually Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the fact that it got saved by NBC.
Bell. Yes.
Oh, I was like, what? I thought you meant the do.
The chime.
The chime, yeah. So after being canceled by Fox, it went home to where I think it always belonged, which is on NBC. Yeah. Because it's a Mike Schur creation, and he's known for working on The Office. He wasn't showrunner or anything, I don't think, but he created Parks and Rec and The Good Place. Yeah. So now that NBC has saved Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's just such a pure, happy show. Like, it just brings me so much joy, and the cast of characters is just such a great ensemble. It makes me happy, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I think it still finds, like, season 1 is pretty good, but it needs to find its footing a little bit more, and then it just, like, hits that rhythm, especially Halloween episodes.
Yeah, I was very good at those. It definitely was a good year for TV moments in that sense, as far as The Expanse being saved.
We still need to watch that.
The most important show, Lucifer, being saved.
I haven't heard any updates on that. Yeah, my mom is pretty thankful.
I believe they saved Designated Survivor, too, on Netflix.
Did they?
Yeah, which is an interesting thing. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm really happy.
It's a good one. Why don't we, in our joint effort here, talk about the Dragon Prince? Yeah. We're both just very thankful for the existence of the Dragon Prince.
So good.
But also, like, specifically speaking, we're very grateful for Rayla, for General Amaya.
Yeah. Again, even though it's anime, it's a great ensemble cast of characters. And even though they're kids, again, it has that nice thing of they're not annoying. They're not too precocious. They're that right level of it.
And Rayla is just a special gem, a TV miracle.
I love Rayla so much.
So I'm just very thankful for her.
Me too.
Do you want to do another one, or
okay? Well, I'll do a little blast from the past. Yeah. Even though it has long been over, I just watched Lost for the first time all the way through this year, and it was. I really understand why it was such a big hit. Like, that's the thing where 2018 was the year where I'm like, I'm catching up with all of the oldie classic TV that people were obsessed with. And that finale brought me to tears. So I'm not going to say anything. But
in a good way, because for some people it brought them to negative tears.
No, I had cried positive, like, bittersweet happiness.
That finale gets a really bad rap that it doesn't deserve, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I was one of those people who's like, why would I catch up on Lost when everyone, like, it seems that as time has gone by, people have looked at it more negatively. Yeah. I cannot be one of those people.
That's the thing is, I feel like, so I was a huge fan of Lost when it was airing, and I feel like since it finished, I had kind of let the internet and the world's sort of sourness and bitterness towards it sort of cloud my judgment, where I never was like, I don't like Lost now, but I was more like, well, it's too bad about how it ended, and it was so crappy at the end, whatever. Rewatching it with you, I was like, people are stupid.
So I guess, for people watching this, if you haven't seen Lost, really do give it a chance. Yeah. And if you're one of the people who are like Dan, has let time temper your enjoyment of it, give it a rewatch, because I think that it really holds up. Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah. It definitely has some bumps along the road. Yeah. Not to say it's perfect, but I think it has very undeserved negativity.
Yeah, and I'm just, even though this is a video about positivity, I am inherently not a positive person. Dan can tell you, I am...
That's why I have to do these videos with you.
I'm like cynical and negative most of my time walking around. So the fact that this show that, again, had its bumps and things that I really did not like, even though my feelings on it still are positive.
Yeah, it's a good one. This one, I'm going to be incredibly vague because Olga hasn't seen it yet either. So I'm not going to want to spoil her, so you can probably feel okay. I'm going to talk about Hill House, but only like mid-season. There is a reveal with the bent neck lady, which is fabulous. And I'm very thankful for fabulous reveals like that scene or sequence. That episode in general is fantastic. If you haven't seen Haunting of Hill House, I highly recommend it. I know I did a review of the pilot where we were kind of about it, but it becomes fantastic. And I just think that show especially does such a great job with its twists and its turns. And as a TV fan, I'm really grateful for shows that are able to, sort of surprise you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am only on episode 2. I don't like creepy things, but I hear amazing. But I do. Dan you're not the only one who's like, the bent neck lady episode 4 is amazing. So I'm waiting.
I think that's 5 actually.
Never mind. So to take a little sidestep from kind of the other scripted shows that we were talking about, one of my favorites from this year was Making It, hosted by Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman. So I mentioned Parks and Rec earlier. Their chemistry together is so phenomenal. And it was just great seeing them again back together again, riffing off each other, but also seeing the crafters. Like, it's a DIY show where people who really know what they're doing with their hands and their hobbies, basically putting stuff together. And it was just really wholesome and happy, and it just exuded that positive, I'm using that word a lot in this video, but it exuded just that kind of cheerful energy.
When you say it popped with love.
Sure, is that like a quote from something?
No, it's a quote from Daniel.
It reminded me a lot of like the Great British Bake Off / Great British Baking Show in its attitude. That's something else I'm really thankful for, of them putting out the most recent season onto Netflix, like, I guess like 2 weeks after it ended over there, because then I was able to catch up on it. Sometimes when a long time goes by, I get really spoiled. So again, also, if you haven't tried Bake Off, even if you're not into baking, it's just very cheerful, and it's hosted by comedians, and it's different comedians now, and they still have a great energy. Yeah. And it's just good people doing things that they're good at. And just cuteness. And
I'm very thankful for your baking. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I want to try like a bunch of things from that show. Not so much the DIYs. That I'll leave to the professional amateurs.
All right. Well, okay. So I have another one that it could be spoilery, but I'm gonna not say anything specific.
Okay.
So Sharp Objects, I really appreciated the final moment of. I think that show is a must watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way it all tied together at the end really worked well and elevated the show as a whole in those final moments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of the actors, all the ones that are involved in it.
Good.
And Amy Adams did a fantastic job. So if you haven't seen HBO's Sharp Objects, it's worth it. What do you got?
So similarly, I'm going to stay away from spoilers on this, but it's the free churro episode of Bojack Horseman.
Okay.
The name deceives you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like free churro, what the hell?
Mm.
I would say that this season of Bojack, like, there's no bad season of Bojack. I think the closest is season 1.
Mm.
But then since then, it's been one of the best shows on TV. So uniquely animated, dark comedy, brilliant and deep and existential. This most recent season, it was definitely still really good, but it wasn't on par, I would say, with the one before.
Mm.
Just what they had in that last season was so great that I don't think it would have been easy to follow it.
Yeah.
But the free churro episode it's the closest I think it came to connecting truly of the fallout of the previous season.
Mm.
And with that, it brought something incredibly unique. I will say this. The entire episode is a monologue from Bojack.
Okay.
And you're fine with it. Like, I didn't know that going into it. And me saying I don't think it ruins anything about it. But the fact is, it's an animated show.
Yeah.
And it's one character that you're seeing monologuing for like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And it works.
Wow.
It's brilliant.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So are they cutting away to the things he's talking about, or is it really just on him?
It's just on him.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's one of the most unique things I've ever seen on television. And that's what Bojack brought to the table this year.
Very interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so my last two things literally are spoilery, so do you have anything else you want to knock out before we...
Yeah, so I will say that just to give some shout outs to some new shows from this year that were also incredibly unique and different.
Yeah.
I'd say Killing Eve of
BBC
America show with Sandra Oh, and all her nominations were like incredibly deserved, but also the actress who's playing the villain,
the one who's killing Eve.
Well, her name there is Villanelle. I think the actress is Jodie Comer. Like, she really took that show to another level, and their chemistry with each other is so fascinating. So that's definitely, like, it's a quick watch because it's just came out, and I think it's like 10 episodes, maybe 8. And then a show that I thought I was like fine with it while I was watching it, and then it stuck with me, is Barry. HBO, Bill Hader. It's advertised as a comedy, but it's more than that. And I am actually really surprised by how much I just kept thinking about it, and I enjoyed it more, I think, after time went by and I really processed it, as opposed to like when I binged it, because it's another very short series with just one season.
Bing, bang, boom.
Okay, sure. Bing, bang, Barry.
There you go. Sorry to totally derail you.
I was done.
All right. So my last two things are legitimately spoilers. So first, spoilers for Daredevil season 3. All right. So I have a few things about Daredevil season 3, which I think is phenomenal. It's the best superhero season I've ever seen of any show. First off, the prison fight is fantastic. And like, I could have just said, oh, there's a great fight scene and not spoil anything, but I want to talk about this prison fight because they've done so many between Daredevil itself and the other Netflix shows, even Haunting of Hill House. This whole long take thing is like really become like a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And especially after Hill House, I was like, how are they ever going to top that? How are they going to still impress me, right?
Right.
And this prison fight, you're so gripped, you're so in it. I feel like the fact that that's him without his costume on really helps with it.
That's another level of uniqueness to that. We haven't seen him really, like, as Matt Murdock fighting people off like that.
Yeah. And there were so many, the fact that it was the fighting, but then they also got into this discussion with the other guy, and it was going all throughout the prison, and so much happening, and the lighting, and the cinematography, and the choreography.
I felt myself, like, leaning in closer and closer, and just, I don't think I must have been breathing. It was a long scene. Yeah. But I felt like I just had this coil of tension the entire time. Yeah. And then finally it unwound all at once.
And I think in some ways it's exemplary of like season 2, they tried to do the sequence again, right? Mm-hmm. And when I'm trying to remember if they did 2 of them. Did they do one with the Punisher too in the prison? I can't remember if that was.
I don't remember.
But the one that I remember was like supposed to be, this is the hallway fight of this year. Mm-hmm. I was like, that was cool, but it was like, we're going to this well again. Yeah. Whereas this was like, we're not just doing it to do it, right? Like, we're
truly topping ourselves like nothing before.
Yeah. So that was awesome. I also want to throw out, as far as Daredevil goes, I really appreciated the episode about Karen Page. Her whole flashback stuff I thought was fantastic. And the decision not to kill her in the church, I'm really grateful for, because I know in the comics she dies. And the fact that they kept her around, I think, was very smart. I think she's potentially the best part of the show.
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah. She's bringing a level of humanity to it that I really appreciate and really am gripped by in a totally different way from other superhero shows.
Yeah. All right.
What's your other spoiler?
My other spoiler is The 100.
Oh, yeah.
So
we do a podcast about.
I mean, obviously we talked about this to death to a certain degree, but I am very thankful for the ending moments of the latest season. It was season 5, right?
Yes.
So, the whole ending for Harper and Monty, I think, it's a moment that I won't forget. And I'm glad, I don't know how much of that has to do with the fact that we were recording our reactions, all that stuff, but like, it's just one of those TV moments that like really meant something to me. It was such a great send-off to those 2 characters that meant a lot, and leaving us with... And such a surprise, too, right? It's like, it's very emotionally resonant. It's also a surprise. It also leaves us with this interesting new character and it also sets up this whole new path for the show.
Right. I mean, in addition to the location and everything like that. But you bringing up us live reacting to it, I just flashed back to my emotions of that moment. And watching the Monty and Harper videos and then just the Monty video. And it was just so sweet, and I'm obviously still sad. I'm gonna miss those characters, but I feel like it was just like a great ending for them, and what also, they deserved.
Like in a season which had its bumpiness, I feel like it kind of cleansed the like some sort of like bitterness that I had felt a little bit about the show.
I agree.
And I know there are plenty of people who are still like not super excited about next season because of season 5.
And they're worried about the end of book 1 kind of.
But to me, I'm just like, the fact that they are still capable of having sequences like that makes me go, this is a show worth continuing.
It's not, don't overlook it yet. Don't count it out is kind of my feeling as well.
So those were the moments we were most grateful for this year on television. And, it's been a great year, 2018, especially because we watched Lost, super 2018 show. What are your moments? What were you thankful for or grateful for in 2018? What are you looking forward to in 2019? Anything that we said that like resonated with you, or there are moments that you can't believe we forgot to talk about? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.